Hello everyone, I'm going to talk about agricultural holdings and productivity, and I'm actually curious about the size of the agricultural holdings and productivity level in agricultural sector. I will use two main reference books. One of them is about sustainable agriculture in the United States. It was written by Papandik, Youngberg and Mayer in 1990. And the second book I have used belongs to Theodore Schultz, who is a Nobel Prize winning economist. And the name of the book, Transforming Traditional Agriculture. As you know, many developing countries implement some policies in order to increase the agricultural productivity, regardless the size of the agricultural holdings. The failures of public programs to transform traditional agriculture into a highly productive sector in a substantial number of countries are a consequence of policy decisions to establish very large operating units in agriculture, such as former Soviet Russia, etc. Return to scale has been an integral part of Marxian thought. It is believed that practically the larger the producing unit in agriculture, the more efficient it will be. The reasons why agricultural research is necessary and why it is beyond the capacity of farms can be readily summarized. Most modern agricultural factors of production are specific to the biological and other circumstances of the country in which they have been developed. When a country dependent upon traditional agricultural factors decides to acquire and adopt modern factors, it will not suffice merely to import and use the existing forms. Instead, it will be necessary to develop new forms appropriate to the particular circumstances of the country. To do this, it is necessary to start with the specific theories and principles that have been established, and on the basis of this knowledge develop the appropriate factors, which entails a considerable research effort. It is wholly impractical for farms, no matter what their size, to be efficient in undertaking all of the necessary agricultural research. If that is the way it is approached, there will be too little research, and even that which is undertaken will, as a rule, be exceedingly costly. But large landowners and farmers who operate large farms in poor countries are often victims of the belief that if there is any agricultural research worth doing, they can best do it on their own farms. They do not understand the economics underlying the activities of agricultural experimentations. Consequently, one observes in some of these countries that a division in interest arises, with large farmers opposing public expenditures for agricultural research and small farmers favoring such expenditure. There is a strong argument for a system of forward prices for agriculture is that such a system would augment the efficiency of small farmers by reducing somewhat the price risk and uncertainty they otherwise must face without information from experts. Let me continue with the second part which is related with the misconceptions in sustainable agriculture regarding agricultural holding size. Parr et al. Identified 3 misconceptions about low input sustainable farming system commonly arise in many countries. The first one, it was said that low input sustainable farming systems represent a return to agriculture that was practiced in the 1930s. According to the other, this is simply not true. These farmers use modern equipment, certified or hybrid seeds, soil and water conservation practices, conservation, tillage, and the latest innovations in livestock feeding and handling. They minimize the use and the need for off-farm purchase inputs of fertilizers and pesticides through sod-based crop rotation, integrated crop livestock management, and recycling crop residues and animal manures to maintain soil productivity. The second misconception, low input farming methods result in low output. On the contrary, many of these farmers insist that their crop yields from low input systems are equal to or even higher than their more conventional neighbors. Studies have shown that crop yields from low input farming systems might actually exceed those of conventional cash grain farmers during periods of below average rainfall. Nevertheless, even if the crop yields from low input farming systems are lower than from chemical intensive cash farming systems are lower than from chemical intensive cash grain production systems. The bottom line is how their yields translate into net returns, which in many cases will be higher with low input system. And the third one, saying that low input farmers are really farming at the lower end of the crop response curve. Indeed, in many cases, the low input farmers' productivity, for example, efficiency or output input ratio, will be high enough to place him or her near the top of the curve. That is through good management of on-farm resources and crop rotations to provide the necessary levels of plant nutrients and to conserve available soil moisture. He or she may have pushed the crop yield potential up to a maximum level without using any chemical fertilizer or pesticides.